Hey everybody, this is Woopnyo. I'm from Grievance, and you're here watching the Star Citizen Report. Today's January 1st, 2010, 2015, our very first show of the new year, and I'm joined again by in my bottom Arleeya, followed by Memo in my bottom left,
Evening, folks.
and Spins in my left. So we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about with the new year coming out right after the holiday sale. It's a lot of lore, a lot of exciting material. So let's get it started.
Hey, first off, what did anybody pick up anything new during the holiday sale? Just curious.
I,
Nothing? Arleeya, I know you picked something new up. Come on, man.
Yeah, I did.
what, what'd you get?
Okay, well, it's not like I want to talk about it or tell people, so just keep it to yourself. Spin, did you get anything new?
I did not. Nothing new yet.
I didn't get anything new. I picked up an add-on pack for the Freelancer, but I never got around to getting the actual Freelancer it goes with. I know, Whoop, you picked up the Hornet, didn't you? Or
Yeah, I
didn't?
get the Super Hornet, and I grabbed a couple of those beginner kits, whatever they're called, the anniversary MR or MR things.
Nice.
So we'll be giving some away. I don't think so today, but we'll pick another day and hand them out.
Yeah, I think Damon's got a hold of those.
Yeah.
I picked up a bigger towel.
A bigger towel, is that a personal decision, or is it requested by others that you get a bigger towel?
Oh no, all my towels are wearing out. It's been, some getting new towels from Star Citizen. So
Okay, good to know. Arleeya is hard on towels.
If you ever need to know who's dry, there you go.
Yeah, it's important Arleeya is dry. Gotcha.
All right. So there was new writers around the verse. They were talking about nukes and saying it's limited to partly limited to design thing. Also, the notion of mil-spec weapons that allows the military to keep a certain advantage over civilians, kind of like how in the United States we have a assault weapons ban. You cannot have a clip in an assault rifle that's more than 10 rounds. It cannot be longer than like 14 inches, something like that, for the barrel.
What does partly limited by design? What exactly does that mean?
Have
I
you ever
mean,
blown something up that hasn't been there before?
yeah, I
Okay.
guess. Okay, I mean that just was kind of vaguish to me.
Oh, it's a nuke in space. Who's done that before?
Ah,
I
very true, very true.
You have. What year was that, Arleeya?
I'm not at liberty to give that information out yet.
You destroyed
Fair
the.
enough.
They, and by the way, they mentioned the black market with those nukes, so who knows what's going to be available in the game.
Dirty nukes.
Memo was talking about, what was that about the derelict ship?
Yeah, the haunted and ship, supernatural, deserted ships, kind of like your ghost ships on the ocean, if they were going to have things like that in game. And kind of danced around it by saying along the lines of, sometimes alien technology and stuff like that will appear, supernatural just because it's outside our scope of understanding. Kind of like when man stumbled out of the woods, first saw the moon and was like, wow, that's a god. Kind of like that kind of stuff.
Well, where's the other eye? When you look at the, never
Yeah,
mind. So,
that it had towel over it, man.
Wow.
See, when it comes to derelict ships, I'm more interested in having, infested derelict ships or alien traps or things like that.
Yeah,
I don't mind the haunted or supernatural, but it's not something that I'm super focused on.
I mean, as far as lore wise, that would probably be the most interesting to me, lore wise, the story behind a ghost ship out there that you could, encounter in the persisted universe. But I like that idea, Spin, where maybe a pirate sets a trap of a ship that looks like it's, down, and they set it to get rescuers to come in, and then they pounce. That sounds really cool.
I
the
think
other
Absolutely.
the other thing about the lore is that you could sit there and go through the log files, and it would tell you something, and that information may be really
Yeah,
important to somebody else.
I actually like what Mass Effect did with it, where in 3, when you destroyed, spoiler alert, when you destroy the enemy at the end of 2, it comes back in the third game. So that way you can you go back to the derelict corpse and stuff like that, and you get back inside the brain. You decide what happens to it. There's
huh.
another part where it uses it's a trap and it sets off a beacon, so that way the enemy comes and picks you up. I think that's in 2, but that was pretty cool. And every time I did it in the missions and the Star Citizen thing for the Karak when that came out, I went in and I sent in drones and something bad happened, or I jumped on the ship and something bad happened. Something always bad happened to me.
They mentioned also that the life expectancy of our characters is going to be like 150 years. Chris Roberts didn't want anybody living past 200 years, which means that no human presently alive today remembers the Messer era. So, yeah, so we have the new emperor, so things are changed.
I don't remember the Messer era either. Do you?
Yeah, well,
Dr. Spin knows what you're talking about. But
Well, I'll tell you where I would go is if you wanted to send people somewhere to learn about the history. Tales of Citizens. They did a series called the ABCs of Star Citizen, and one of those episodes might have been the best podcast I've heard about the history of Star Citizen. In fact, it is the best one I've heard about this history of Star Citizen. Lays it out like a professor giving a lecture. Bridger did a fantastic job on that one. So if anyone's interested in learning that history in one easy hour of listening, that's the place to go. Don't come to me because I will not do a good job with the lore.
We might even change it on you to confuse you.
Well, you can only be confused by it changing if you know it already, right? Well,
That's true.
very
Wait. Yeah, I think you're right.
One thing I did want to mention, when we talked about the nukes, I didn't jump in there. I have a concern when it comes to the nukes, and I hope that they don't get too involved in them. And I think we can find, a reasonable in-game reason why nukes would be very difficult to use. Perhaps some sort of suppression field has become very common. That it's so expensive to maintain the type of trigger that would actually make it through the suppression field that only a very few high-tech organizations could manage it. Because I see that when it comes to balance, that's something that could throw things out of balance. And even if it is realistic that we would say, well, nukes would be there, I don't know if I want them to be a huge part of our gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
There would be an awful lot of maintenance and upkeep just on the nuke as a weapon, period, because of,
Exactly.
the properties of nuclear weapons. So that would make it very difficult to maintain.
What about
as well.
the sizes of the ship, like the Bengal or the various other ships they had? If they're going to use something like a nuke, it's going to be on a missile and it's going to go after the big Vondel ships, the Kingfishers or whatever. They're not going to be using it on planets, and they're definitely not going to be using it. Strap it on your Aurora and just ride into victory. Like what was the guy, Slim Pickens, and what was it, Failsafe or whatever movie it was, where he's riding the bomb down the planet.
Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Strangelove. Yeah.
That was before most everybody, but me and you were born. Or
I've seen that in the Simpsons episode. Thanks.
So, anything else on 10 for the writers?
Plenty of art, human-alien relationships. I think that's a little taboo, but
I think as we're talking more along the lines of mixing of societies and stuff, as opposed to mixing of races. There,
they did have a little confusion actually in their cast about what they were talking about.
Yeah.
One of them was immediately like, "Well, I don't think we're going to have hybrid human Banu offspring," and the other guy's like, "I don't think that's what he means."
That's awesome.
I think more that what they were talking about is like, you're Xi'an, you're sitting at a bar and you start talking and reminiscing of Bandu. Hey, I know that guy. Come over here, and you start talking like buddies.
Hybrid colonies to where you have, you're living in side by side with an alien race, or I'd guess some of the big cities out on the fringe and areas like that are going to be places where, the alien societies and colonists cross over.
There'll probably be a Tavaran quarter as well in some of the big Terran cities, or
not so much on Earth, no. But why would it be a hybrid?
Yeah,
I mean, why would you use the word hybrid? I mean, if you talk about, like, say, New York City, and you have a whole bunch of different people from various parts of the planet there, you go into this particular village or Chinatown or whatever.
They're all human. I mean,
they're people.
They're people.
But they're different ethnic groups.
Yeah, we're not talking different ethnicities here. We're talking different total DNA strands of folks
Okay.
here.
All right, let's use dolphins and chimpanzees. You're walking down the road, there's a dolphin swimming up the Chicago River, and there's chimpanzees driving your taxis. I mean, they're just, it's just different things.
Well, the idea is those are both mammals, and this is coming from another planet which might not even have the same
What
type
if
of DNA
their
sequence.
what if their source of food is, say, cats? I mean, what if an
Or
alien
oxygen.
could just eat cats, or they couldn't breathe oxygen?
Yeah, so you're talking between different species. There's a whole bunch of chemistry and biological things that I'm not willing to touch yet. If they have to decide that that's going to happen, okay. There could be gene splicing. They could not even work together. I don't know. But living alongside, I could see. Yeah.
Nobody got the Alf reference. I'm disappointed.
So,
Or
according to 10 for the producers, single seat ships have sleeping, eating in bathrooms.
Yeah, that's a new shot. That's new.
Really?
Yeah.
the Aurora has its
I
own
mean,
coffin. I mean, bed.
Well,
is that going to be a job that you can take up on a space station? You're the guy that empties the heads on all the incoming spacecraft.
I think they'll
That
do
would
what
have
For
they
to be
God's
a
sakes,
fun
tell me
job.
that's automated by now.
I think it's going to be like the Apollo missions where it just goes out the side of the ship.
That would get awful messy after a while. Low orbit ships and
Hmm.
No, that burns up in the atmosphere. A little bit of dust, you're walking around, you have to clean off your shoes.
They did talk some more about the modular systems, comparing the hard ports and or hard points in hardware, and what ships we're going to be able to swap things out of. And I think there's lots of changes still to become. They're saying like the larger ships like Carrack can have whole rooms swapped out,
Hmm.
and then they're also talking about what other items can be swapped out. We just
yeah.
have to wait and see. I'm glad that they're doing it to a certain extent, but I don't want it to go crazy because I think it's one of those things that could be a rabbit hole that they could go down, disappear down for months.
Well, look how it is with the weapons right now. You can pretty well swap weapons off any ship onto another ship. I think that's going to be a little bit more restrictive down the road too than it has been now. But right now, no matter what you have, you can swap. You can swap this weapon off that ship onto this ship. I think there's going to be some kind of standards where only these kind of weapons will mount on this ship, or this class will mount on that ship. And right now, it's pretty well wide open. So I wouldn't
Well,
be surprised to see that either.
we'll say class 2, which is, I guess, a turret. Um, a turret on an Aurora and a turret on a Carrack are going to be different.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
different sizes.
Yeah, I can
The,
always say something completely vague here, and Arleeya fill in the details for me. So I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
well,
He makes me look like I'm smart and I know what I'm talking about by filling in all the details. I appreciate that.
the thing that I'm going to agree with Spin is about the modular thing. Well, then why do we need even variants? Why are they making variants unless they're going to have an
Yeah.
exterior that's not going to be similar?
Well,
And that,
imagine, I would assume, and we might have already covered this because it sounds familiar to me, but I mean, as far as even upgrading your ships in game, I mean, with modular components, can you mix and match ships? I mean, just like, you can do the upgrades right now from like Constellation to the different variants of that. Are you going to be able to take things from certain variants of the Constellation and just put that in? I mean, how modular are we going to get here? We don't really know yet.
I
well,
took
I
all
want
the
to.
guns off of all my Auroras and put them all on my Hornet because there were enough slots before,
Or,
and it didn't do
or
shit for damage. But
Yeah, but
What'll
that's
be
something I was talking about a little earlier. They might, limit that at some point.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see once we go into the persistent universe and you're in your hangar and say, for example, you have two Auroras and you're side by side, you go, okay, let me take everything out of this one, strip it for parts, then I'll update and modify this and change it around to see what you can do. That would be cool. And I
Mhm.
think when they do these modular updates and everything, it's not going to be instantaneous. It's going to probably take 30 minutes to an hour or something like that. You're going to have downtime.
I don't know. That would be interesting to see because, I mean, us as gamers are not known for our patience with stuff like that. So I could see that being an instant thing. But, I mean, that's a good point. We don't know.
Mhm. I see the modules working a lot like tires. You got the 17, the 15, 17, 22, and then of course you have the lowrider, thin, whatever, and wide and extra. And that's all going to depend on what kind of ship you have that can hold it on that chassis. Like the Carrack, you can put on like 2 things, I think it is, or 5 things. The Caterpillar is going to have like 10 things in a row you can do. It all
Yeah.
depends on what you have and what you want to put in. You're going to have like 3 different types of weapon base that you're going to add onto it, like torpedoes and maintenance and hospital and recovery type area. Or if you just want to go all cargo, it's completely up to you.
That's a good
Think-
point.
I think the last point that they made on the producers was that SIG Cloud Imperium Games is hiring.
Hiding.
They're hiring. There are job openings, and if you're really good at tech design, programming, ship artistry, whatever you can, go over to their main website.
Well, it's good to have it reinforced. I'm absolutely out for all those positions. Thank you, Arleeya.
I thought you were working on it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, is
Still
there some?
hiring.
Do we have a picture of any ships?
Oh yeah. Okay. Fine. I guess we'll do that now.
No, it's
Throw some
people
pics
love
up while we
pictures.
throw some pics up while we start talking about around the verse.
All right.
Yeah.
This is one of the new Vandal ships. Look at all the blades on that thing. Looks like one of those Phoenix blades where you stab it into somebody, press a button, and it all just expands out. And then
Well,
you
like
twist.
Sounds
Space
like
Art?
fun.
What'd you
So
say,
that
Memo?
sounds like fun. I said
Looks
that sounds
more
like
like a-
fun.
Looks more like a Cuisinart. You have that thing spinning.
It
Slices
looks
and
deadly.
dices.
I like
Yeah.
it.
What happens when you
Actually-
ram it with that?
Actually, that's what the Vandals use for their marshmallows, and they get that thing near the sun and just stick it on those
But
things.
they're not
Nice.
marshmallows, they're kitty cats.
Dear God.
Kittens. They'd have to be kittens.
Kittens.
At least that's what Terran propaganda would say.
That's pretty cool looking, I guess.
And I forget who was talking about it, but he almost like said how many ships they're gonna have and the names of them and the designs. But apparently, if you get him drunk enough, he'll just tell you.
That's the one you want, Memo, not the Scythe. You want that one.
What is that? Is that an attack fighter or what is that exactly?
It's a land vehicle. I don't know.
No, it's
Yeah, it's like you see the wheels clearly. I'm sorry, Wolf.
Yeah.
Either it walks, huh?
Right. So it's like Half-Life 2. All right, then they had another one. They did another white box because, of course, they did the Vandal white boxing. They also did the Starfarer. A couple different shots of that one.
Starfarer is my ship.
Now, if you pay attention, it's got a little tail, just like the ships that we have now that do the refueling in the air.
I had thought that it would be able to refuel 4 ships at once because it was so large, but it only has the one. It's a beautiful ship, and you could see the Xi'an influence from Misashi in the cockpit section. A little bit like the Freelancer.
With the turrets too.
Has 2 turrets aft, 2 turrets port and starboard bow. The refueling arm, there's actually a walkway, a maintenance walkway. It's beautiful. It's big. It's a really large ship.
So it's comments like that just remind me that there's room for all different kinds of players and all different kinds of aficionados of starships in this game. Because I look at the Starfarer and I go, that is a very useful ship. That is a very big ship. That is a very, operationally important ship. But I don't think that's a beautiful ship. That looks like a wallowing pig to me.
Yeah, that doesn't.
My hope is that the Starfarer is the only ship capable of being able to dive into a gas giant to get the gas, the really special gas that you need, whereas everybody else just has the little vents that pick up the hydrogen as they go along. That makes it that useful. When you look at where the wings are off to the side, the front intakes, there's 2 on port and starboard. Those are for the gas vents. I think it needs to have those wings because maybe that's what it does. It looks very aerodynamical. So I'm hopefully that's what's going to be able to do.
I'm hoping that it'll do more than
Interesting.
gas. I want it to carry more than fuel.
Oh yeah, there's a second version which is a pallet version.
Ah.
But that's the tanker.
I think that'll look really cool.
I'm just holding back from all the jokes about Arleeya's gas. I think
You
it's fun.
haven't been around me enough. Oh, we lost. What happened there?
I'm
I
back.
don't know.
Am I
Okay.
back?
Yeah, you're back.
You're back.
good. Stop downloading.
Should we move on to Around the Verse, number 26?
Sure.
Sure.
Wait, we were actually talking about part of that, but that's okay. That was
Did
all.
we
the two
hit any
ships.
of the FPS updates that they had?
There was the one picture with that thing that looked like Ender's Game in the middle.
Oh yeah, this
The
the
combat
battle.
sphere,
Yeah,
Yeah,
battle
that's
sphere. Yeah. So
yeah.
that looks cool.
Is it
they also talked about new way to do weapon selection. There's
Yeah,
also
but
something I was going to mention later on about HUD updates.
what did they say about the weapon selection? I mean, if they're going to say we're going to use the mouse wheel, I'm going to think, well, you know, every FPS game in the world uses the mouse wheel. What did they say they were going to use? Was there any clarification
Matrix.
on that,
You know
or
what you
did they?
saw the movie The Matrix where all that weapons were flying by? That's what you're gonna do. You have to grab one as they go by real quick. No, I don't know what they're gonna do.
okay?
They just took
That's
the wind out of
incredibly
our
useful.
sails, Memo.
You just kind of lost me there, Arleeya. But okay, I'm good. Let's go.
Wait, what now?
I'm
Um,
an FPS fan. I like playing Battlefield
I
and such
Yeah.
games.
I would hope that your weapon selection is kind of like you have an armory or when you go into it and you choose the weapon you want from a shelf.
See, when they said weapon selection, I thought you're in combat weapon selection, the system you're going to do that with. Because
Mhm.
in games like FPS games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, you can swap between different weapons. You have a kit essentially you're wearing that you can cycle through those weapons.
Right.
And you know, like use your knife, use your handgun, use your assault rifle, use your rocket launcher, throw a grenade, stuff like that. So I wonder if they had a different system. That's how I took it, anyways. Not that you had a big armor you went and looked at to pull stuff out
Well,
of.
that could be where you get your kit. So once you go in, you're just limited to what you're carrying. I don't
Well,
want it to be like a wheel where you can just pull stuff out of
well,
thin air.
it isn't like that in FPS games. You have to basically die to change your kit. You can't change your kit on the fly. Whatever you have as your kit, that's what you got till you die.
Or you can pick up somebody else's when you kill them, and you can
Or yeah, if
pick,
someone's dead, you can pick their kit up,
yep,
which
pick something
I do
off the
by
ground.
I do
I'm
by
pretty sure Star
accident all the
Citizen is going to be like that. It's just going to
time.
be what you're carrying on you, and you'll have some kind of selection. I did take it the same way as that Memo did, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got.
Yeah, me too. I'm really interested to see what they think is different because you can only redesign the wheel so many times before it doesn't roll.
I thought the it was interesting to say they've done the first passes on the battle arena, and the
Yeah,
arena command version of what's going to happen for FPS in the battle arena. They're looking at a recreational first-person shooter where it's more of a game, a team sport, something like that, where you get scores instead of people dying. So it could be, you
hmm.
know, like a sport. You've got your team Saturday night. You go have a couple of beers with the boys. You go in the battle arena. You play laser tag for a while.
It could also be a training area as well for when you have to do it for real.
My
Absolutely.
birthday party.
Yeah,
I
that
was
sounds
actually
great.
anticipating they were going to call it Combat Commander or something like that, so it would go along with the Arena Commander theme.
When that gets released to us, I'm always seems like even though I was an early backer, I'm always one of the last ones to actually get into these new things they have coming out. But I'm interested in the FPS, especially after the videos they've released. That looks fantastic to me.
Does anybody know when PAX East is? Because that's when we're going to see more of the battle arena. They'll bring it out then.
Oh yeah, that is. Oh come on, I just had that. Oh, I don't. I'll get it. Just a sec. Go ahead. I had it just up, but of course. They're sending out two different types. That is not on here. What?
But I think it's a good idea in the battle arena to have something like that and to also have a solo option where people can go in and practice their skills so that when they get with a team, then they got their individual skills up to speed. Plus,
Have like
sometimes you don't have time to get with a team. You just want to get in there and do some work yourself and
have
get
like
out
a
again.
target arena or a campaign mode to where you're
Exactly.
playing it like that. Yeah, that's pretty standard too. It just seems, you just got to wonder how much they're going to go into that.
It's Friday, January 23rd, and that's PAX South. They're selling two different types of tickets. If you just want to go to one event, or if you want to go to them all, a couple
Yeah,
different.
but we're talking about PAX East, mate, not PAX South.
They're the same thing.
PAX East.
No, no, it's not the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't
Obviously,
PAX
I'm
East
right
be
on top.
March? Would PAX East be March?
I'm not sure.
They're
Let's just.
also
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Arleeya.
they were doing white box stage of two of the landing platforms, Odessa, which probably sounds like it's in Russia, and Mariana, which where would that be? The Miria Anna Anna.
Absolutely no clue.
Well, that's a planet.
Okay. We'll go
All
with
right.
that. It's a planet.
I think it's a planet.
It works for me. It is now a planet, Sven.
Unless
Okay.
someone in the chat tells me I'm wrong, let's just go with that.
Yeah, it's a planet. We've decided.
I really like to go the Vandal Swarm for FPS. That'd be awesome, Captain.
That does sound awesome, Darius. That sounds awesome.
Oh, I wouldn't
Go
be
in there
surprised
as
at
a
all if they
team.
have something like that. Maybe even something where your opponents are given the illusion of being like a Vandal.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that would be awful. You have a guy in a Herald or a pilot in a Herald switching around the transponder codes and they just to shoot you down because you're the enemy and you're just a regular, you know.
All's fair in love and war, dude. All's fair.
oh yeah. If I could do that and I could have a hacker in my Herald and enough computer power to go in and change someone's ID code from friendly to enemy, that's awesome. Let me
Oh, why
fire
are
his-
they killing me?
Not to
Yes.
mention the rage that would go on in that whoever's team speak.
Mhm.
Why are you shooting me? You're the enemy. I did see something about ship damage and missile trails have improved special effects.
Yes.
Recognize a missile from a distance. Now, I haven't picked up on that yet. Have any of you guys seen it in game where you can actually tell?
When they're coming straight at me, yes, I can definitely see them about to kill me.
No,
Well,
I don't notice till everything goes zzz, and the red lights start going off, and I'm like, I must have been hit by a missile.
Yeah, I've got to
That's
try
what
and
I
pay more.
notice.
I got to try pay more attention to it because I have not been able to, you know, tell the difference in a way that would make any difference in combat.
I'm so focused on trying to keep the ship from spinning in a spiral direction usually that I'm just getting hit from all over, and I'm like, well, somebody's shooting me. I don't even know if I can differentiate between missiles and lasers, or one of the Gatlings. It's just I'm getting hit.
Is it
From all sides.
possible in the game that you could fire a missile in your own missile?
Not that I'm aware of.
You've seen
I'm
that
sure
in a
would
trailer.
I think it is possible. I just haven't seen it.
And
I don't see why it wouldn't be possible.
they didn't do an update yet, so that you can your missiles still don't leave target. You could evade them before, and you could have used chaff or whatever your preferred form of maneuverability to get away
Yeah.
from missiles.
I
Like the
have
M50 just
seen-
drives straight. So
I have seen chaff, but it's usually because I pushed the wrong button and I fired it off. It's usually when I see chaff. Because believe me, when a missile's got a lock on me, I never actually think of shooting chaff. But I've seen it because I accidentally push that button all the time.
well, it's supposed to work, but with the new things put in with the infrared and the sound and everything like that, the missiles are like freaking snipers. You can't get away from them unless you can get them to like hit a rock instead of you.
Yeah, that's what I've found too. Balance is going to be a constant thing with this game, and
Yeah,
you know, given the
agree.
complexity of it, it's just going to be a matter of time. I just hope they get in the habit of making small adjustments and not swinging the ban hammer or the nerf hammer every time something changes, because
Right.
that causes problems in many games. And I think every indication is that they're being very considerate about their approach when it comes to this. I did want to mention, I don't want to talk about the whole thing here because we could spend an hour talking about shields and how they absorb or deflect damage, but the Bug Smashers episode, it's worth having a look at because they talk about, give you a pretty good look at shields and splash damage and deflection. So the Bug Smashers lately I've been really impressed with because they have been giving us a ton of those details about how the combat will work in the future.
Very
Well,
interesting.
How about lore? Whoop, you want to talk about Hades?
It's a
Yeah.
place. It's a exterminated race, and there's ghosts. and-
Hadrathians. Yeah, that
Sure.
place is nasty. That, by the way, if you're a subscriber, you can get this information about 6 months in advance. This was 6 months ago. So they had a lot of interesting items that they put in extra for when they put it on for the other people to see.
Yeah, it's like four different planets in there, and they're all like scorched. And I think I got a picture for that. I can bring that up too.
One split in half by something that,
Yeah.
too
looks
much
pretty cool.
gas.
You haven't
What
been
I-
there yet, man.
What I really like seeing them do is, call on resonance, like use names that mean something to us. So that right away you hear Hades, you know it's not going to be a pleasure planet.
There's going to be no warm, fuzzy bunnies.
Exactly. Or if there are, you got to bring them yourself.
I really
Hors
think
d'oeuvres.
I think they need to, when whoever finds the first jump point and it goes to a planetary system, they should look at it and go,
Name it Fuzzy Bunny. That'd be awesome.
I think it's going to have to go down to SIG anyway, Cloud Imperium Games. They're going to say, no, this isn't, no. I think they're going to put the final stamp of approval on it.
I completely agree. The UEE should have the final say because I really don't want to have Fluffy Bunny as a system. And you
Yeah.
know it's coming.
Or even worse than that. I was using that as an example, but we as gamers have seen pretty much everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What system we headed to? P1 NIS. Oh, excellent.
Icy Wiener. I mean, there could be anyone for
Oh my god.
Frozen Planet.
This isn't Spore, guys. Come on.
The interesting thing about it is that this race wiped itself out. So depending on where it is on the map that they're working on now, version 2.0, it should be rather interesting where this system is. Is it far? Is it between Banu and Xi'an? Is it between the Vondel and us? It would kind of be interesting to see who may have or who wants whatever technology is there. One thing they did mention was there's a lot of pirate activity.
I thought it was pretty cool, but still, I'm not that much into lore. Sorry.
There was a message here from Thaman. Will Memo want to take his reclaimer planetside to start scooping up whatever artifacts the ship can hold?
Was that even a question?
No, it's a discussion point that he made. It was interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't. It isn't the same coming from you. That's something Thaman would have to say, man. We're missing him tonight. He had other
Yes.
obligations.
Yes. What we should do is get a cardboard cutout and put a slot 5,
So the
sounds
Nix system.
super creepy.
The Nix system. We're talking about a space station and a big settlement on an asteroid. Two things which people are going to be very excited to go visit and see and interact with.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't like when things are building on my asteroids. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, it looks pretty cool. It's a nice little mining section, and it's got, what, 4 planets? Or 2 planets?
Delamar is the largest asteroid, I think.
Yeah,
My-
Delamar's the asteroid. I think there's 3 planets. Nix 1,
Yep.
2, and 3.
There
Mhm.
you go. Yeah. That does look pretty cool. I got that.
Do you think that the asteroid might be more for player versus player?
Well, what they say about Delamar is it can be visited by anyone, and they are constantly afraid of a massive police raid.
That's
So I'm
where
sure
nice
it's going to be
people
one of
live.
those areas where PvP is a possibility.
Definitely. I would expect that.
The settlement was formed by free thinkers during the oppressive Messer era. There's that Messer era again.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know what they're talking about, but okay.
So it's political radicals and anti-UEE guys. So it's not criminals necessarily. It's political dissidents hanging out there. Although I'm sure they have their own black market access and need to, items and whatnot and information run to them. So I'm sure there'll be missions and things to that area.
We had sorry to interrupt. We had a Lumina Vox asked a question about the Aurora CL being able to carry 2 big boxes. I don't really think it could carry 2. Does it? Do any of you know? Big box of storage?
Well, the
there's
big
enough-
box comes in different sizes. It's
Hmm.
not just one. There's big box A, B, and C, I think. But I don't think it carries more than one big box. I've never seen that anyway.
It's only got that spot underneath the where the coffin bed is. It's behind that connects it underneath that. That's the only spot that it has. Beyond that, it has missiles on the top above the cockpit, and then 2 positions for lasers.
Yeah, I hope we answered Lumina Vox's question.
Well, he's still asking about what's the trade advantage then of the Clipper. And I think it's the size of the big box they can carry, but I'd have to look at it
Mhm.
because there's different sizes of big box.
We'll know more in about 6 to 8 months because that's something that they're working on. We might start to see these things pop up in the game. Yeah, it has to come in to the arena commander so that we could start getting mass ratios on carrying cargo versus no cargo. How it affects the stability of your ships.
I think it's been really, really interesting when it's when you overload your ship and you just can't take off because it's all in units, not in tons. Or the times like you hit the thing expecting it to take forever to come up and it's just like a feather just go flying up. It's really funny.
What images are we seeing now? The certain bases?
Yeah, that was Nick's.
Okay.
Because I'm right on top of it.
He happened to be reading that section when the question came
up. I got pictures up. I just have to find them in my files. But whatever.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So work in progress on the space station. There was a whole bunch of pictures there, and you could read the article that came in the subscriber magazine. I thought there were some great pictures there, and I'm certainly looking forward to space stations. You know, add to that what we saw in the FPS demo, where they're actually, you know, bringing a ship into the space station for combat. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things they listened to the backers on, because the original Star Citizen, you know, they were pretty hesitant about committing to space stations.
I like how it starts off with that circle, and then they did that little line off the side of it. Oh, I'll find a picture. It's cool how like they show how they put it together and how it all fits, and then it'll like break apart because it's low maintenance or it's been attacked or something, and that's where the not the police, the criminals and whatever who took over the station, they stick out now because it's all bad and broken. It looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it does.
So we can fix these stations? Repair them?
Well, they haven't really told us yet, but I would assume that you can. Now, the question always comes up about how much is going to be player controlled, and I think if I remember right, Chris Roberts said that it is possible that there will be a space station under player control. I think that's what he said, if I recall it correctly, but maybe I don't think it's going to be standard.
Maybe something that factions buy control of.
That might come out a year later when we start getting ownership of like land and stuff like that.
Well,
they talked about.
They said a year ago that they weren't going to give players any chance to own a space station or a ship bigger than a capital ship. But apparently that's changed.
Well, I think that's what he said from one of his 10 for the chairmans, but I'd have to go back and check. The other thing in their work in progress for the space station was they showed a whole bunch of FPS weapons and some very good looking weapons. I think we're going to see a lot of imagination going to these weapons, and I'm hoping we're going to see lots of different kinds and lots of opportunity for people to pick their own style.
The electric shotgun, yeah.
We're going to be able to tweak a lot of things too. Engines, weapons. Are we going to be able to tweak our actual personal weapons?
Yes, there's going to be attachments and modifications for the personal weapons.
Good.
So, Happy New Year letter from the chairman.
Oh, that was really nice.
Yeah, I thought it was a good letter. In particular, I thought that 13.7 petabytes of data have been downloaded
during insane.
2014.
Although, does that count where people had to download the client 3 or 4 times to get it to work? Is that 13.7 petabytes including that? Because I know lots of people had the bug where they had to download multiple times the whole thing from scratch. So
don't be bitter, man. It's not pretty.
I know it happened to me. Happened to some other people I know, and I'm past it, but it has to be included in there under that 13.7 petabytes.
Yeah. Isn't it PETA? PETA?
I don't know.
PETA
always sounds to me like
I'd rather pronounce it as petabytes because
well, I was going to make a really awful joke.
Yeah, there's no PETA here.
Yeah, people for eating tasty animals.
So there wasn't a ton of meat in there. They did talk about one of the most important things.
Nice.
That was awesome. Space.
There was
Nice. Thanks for that. You're
So
gonna get such
like
a bad email later.
they did talk about their success, getting feedback from the community, and they are really good at that. The other big thing that jumped out at me was they doubled the number of Star Citizens in 2014,
Mhm.
which was awesome. And it's just going to snowball into 2015, and we
Yeah,
want a well-populated universe,
Mhm.
and this is
absolutely.
the way to it.
Yeah,
Well, as of what is it today? It's over
2015.
720,000 people.
Yeah, 2015 looks to be a fantastic year too. We have so much coming out with the FPS being the next thing up. That's going to bring a lot of people in that come in to try that and stay. And I know I'm definitely excited about that. I know Whoop is as well.
Oh yeah. Oh
Spin
yeah.
sounds excited. I'd like to drag Arleeya into some FPS too. I mean, who in Grievance has not thought once or twice about shooting Arleeya? Come on, doesn't that sound like fun? Come on, everybody.
Well, for me, I just see it as, it's one of those things that's been missing in so many games. Being able to go to from one type of combat into the next type of combat in a reasonable way. And I think this might give it to us. The idea of us having a small squadron of ships taking down a target, say it's a pirate, and we're taking down the pirate, and then we're actually blowing a hole in them, boarding them, conducting a boarding operation, killing them, going sort of corridor by corridor, passageway by passageway, space by space, fighting your way in, and then you're almost there, and they push the button on the reactor and they go, "Let's go, boys! Time to get out!" And you get out, and you just get away in time, get your ships out of there. Maybe Arleeya gets left behind by accident. I don't know.
I get amped up just thinking
He
about that.
wouldn't. He wouldn't move quick enough. So hey,
It's
Well,
probably
and
gonna
after
fly.
after they hit the reactor, they cut the gravity, so now you're trying to escape in zero G, and then they're trying to slow you down and keep you from getting away. It's going to be fun. Or they try and go after your ships because they need a way off.
yeah,
Hmm.
The idea of it just excites
yeah.
me.
It's more of
Possibilities are
Yeah, but it's
very
more of
exciting
the
there.
flow of the game. It's the more of the flow of being able to do what you're doing. Where in most games, it's like, okay, we have to do the loading screen now, or we got to wait, or we have to now go back to this NPC to turn in this, to go back out to do it again. Yeah, I think this is going to be much better.
And I think,
Oh,
there's a sorry, go finish
no,
your
no.
thought,
Go
Arleeya.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say that, the price that we're paying for a lot of this is to have instances. And I'm glad to see that our community has gotten over that allergic reaction to instances. As soon as someone brought up instances, they were like, "Oh my God, we can't have instances. It's got to be a seamless universe." But the fact is, when we have an instance, we're able to do so much more. And
Yeah,
I think it's going to be worth it. And will
that
there be
issues
people who
me.
push against it? Yes, there'll be people who are upset about it. There'll be people who push against it. And I don't mind a reasonable amount of people, saying we need to expand these, we need to get bigger, because it will drive the technology and the software that Cloud Imperium produces, years from now as they're expanding the game. And maybe one day we'll get there, but right now I'm happy with where we're headed.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It,
me
it
as
looks
well.
really sweet. Yeah, I got really amped up and excited when you were talking about getting the ship and blowing a hole in the big one and docking and then getting out the ship and yeah, that was awesome. I can't wait to do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. And even just imagining it is awesome right now. And you can tell it's awesome by the amount of money we've spent on this game
Mm.
because it has fired people's imaginations.
Over
And
69 million. Isn't
woohoo!
that
Uh,
wonderful?
isn't that another stretch goal? What do we get?
Oh, we got nothing.
Right.
They stopped at 65 million. So once we reach 100 million, we're all going to get a blanket. No, I'm joking.
Hey.
I was gonna say,
A blanket
How?
a
apology
blanket.
or a Star Citizen blanket for us to tuck around ourselves in our old age because we're waiting that long for the game to come out? No, the game will be out in 2016, 2017. We're gonna be happy.
I
There
really
we
hope that they don't release a slumber party sleeping bag because it's gonna be really awkward at Uncle Arlea's house.
So, do we want to go into the monthly report, or do we want to leave that for the next show? I think
Let's
we
do it.
should probably do it.
We're pushing on the hour here, aren't we? Whoop.
We were late to start, so if you spin, if you want to do it, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
what
going to
is
push through because I
Okay.
think that after the town hall coming up at
Hmm.
PAX South, not PAX East,
Eh,
PAX South, just in a week or 2 weeks or so, we're going to have more information there. So we'll just push through the letter. Arleeya, I'll take half. Arleeya will take the other half.
Okay.
Um, so they talked about in Santa Monica. Sorry, I'm looking away from the camera because I've got to read my notes. Um, they talked about new systems, lots of new systems, and they had bugs come with those systems as to be expected. And, compared to this game's official forums to other games' official forums, we're actually quite genteel and gentlemanly for the most part. So I was glad to see that people were reasonable about discussing the bugs. But mostly it was about signatures and missiles, which was a big change to the game. And we got to expect things like that to happen, to have those minor bugs. And there's a patch coming out in the next week that should sort out the problems, is what they've said. So I'm really looking forward to that. They react very fast to our feedback, and that's a great sign for where the game's going. Thruster behavior on the Cutlass. I'm not sure if the Cutlass was the only ship, but it was the example they brought up where there were some behaviors with the thrusters, and they are working on the. They initiated a fix, I think, for the last patch, and I think they're going to do more.
The 300 series had the same issue. Like
Oh,
two
did
or
it?
three of the maneuver jets weren't working right. So it was like turning left slow or strafing slow, something like that.
You mean port, of course, but I
Sure,
understand.
whatever. It's a ship versus a car. I don't know.
um, HUD changes are one of the big things, and I really like the way the HUDs are going. Having the HUD inside your helmet, and I particularly like the fact they pointed out that not only is Santa Monica working on it, but they're working on it with Ilphonic so that it's going to be seamless with the FPS. And
Mhm.
that's a big step forward, with the agile scrum managerial setup that they've got. So the different teams in different areas, there's always the concern that they're not going to liaise as closely as you want them to. But we haven't seen that problem with Cloud Imperium at all. I'm sure things happen, out of our sight. As open as they are, I'm sure the kimono is not entirely open, thankfully. Um, but they've done a great job so far. HUD on the helmet, they've increased the user friendliness. I don't know if I feel it yet, but I think they're on the right track.
I think the HUD is there because when you zoom out, you can see it on your face mask, like when you're looking straight at the cockpit. Then you also have the cockpit HUD. And
Yeah.
that's cool. I like that. It just doesn't feel right. Like you have to hold down tab and use your left mouse and
Yeah, I agree with you.
uh,
I'm not feeling it yet, but I
yeah,
think that we're on the right track.
yeah.
Squadron 42 reported in that they were busy in December helping with Arena Commander as well.
Arleeya,
Uh,
man, I've still got 2.5 more pages
oh,
of
I am
notes.
sorry.
Two and a
There was
half
a
more pages.
pause.
Well, I mean,
You're
I got.
killing. They're small pages. They're tiny pages.
Okay. Okay.
They talked, new ships, new designs. The design teams actually in Santa Monica is only two guys, and they're spending a lot of time working on balance because we're like we were talking about earlier. The ship systems and everything's so interconnected that one change can cascade into other changes. And they have actually worked with the Bug Smasher to develop sort of a better computerized way of tracking them, some kind of techie spreadsheet that keeps track of those things so they can actually anticipate problems rather than just having the law of unintended consequences bite them in the butt whenever they do change something. And one thing they talked about in particular was the Joker distortion cannon, which is one of my personal favorites. The idea of um, going after a ship for its power and shield and draining them off as part of your tactics. That's awesome. And it speaks well to what kind of weapons we can expect in the future. 14 new ships total in the last patch. And, we got some new cinematics for the Mustang commercial, and that Imagine trailer that we talked about on our last show. On the Austin office, they talked about characters and props. In particular, the characters, they put a new skeleton together to hang the character on. Um, Unfortunately, they used the phrase anatomically correct, which reminds me too much of the Ken doll not being anatomically correct. But I'm sure what they mean is, it's more about kinesiology and how the characters move and making it more realistic and the elbows bend the right way and that sort of thing. They also mentioned they're creating 150 new props to put into the game. I have
Hmm.
no idea what that means. It could be anything from, additional bottles in your liquor cabinet to holsters, weapons. There's all sorts of things it could be. And I hope it goes that way because people love to personalize their characters. They're working on some high level landing zone designs, which I'm pretty sure means they've drawn some cool pictures and everyone said, wow, that looks awesome. I'm excited about Star Map 2.0 coming out, so I'm really looking forward to
Yep.
seeing that. And they also mentioned the crimes list, the persistent universe crimes list. They're already starting to work on that. They're doing a bunch of work on landing sequences. I thought it was interesting. Their server manager was named Tom Sawyer. I just like the name Tom Sawyer. Very historical. Um, I'm talking about Rush, not about
Oh,
Mark
the,
Twain.
the important one. Okay.
Um, First phase of the public test universe was up, and the public test universe is the future for us. It's where we're going to get things sorted out before they get into the public universe or the persistent universe, and it's just going to become more and more valuable as we go through the process. And analytics, it's boring, but analytics is and having a good analytical setup in advance to take in all the feedback so they can go back when they hear players talking about a certain problem, they can go back and look at the actual raw data. That's fantastic. And we've already seen it in practice through the bug smashers, and they're just going to get better. Arleeya, over to you.
Okay, thank you there, Spin. On the programming front in Squadron 42, they've been working more on the dogfighting cameras and focus on new cinematic spectator mode and a rear view camera. Also, they are working on the landing mechanic and the AI's landing and takeoffs. On the tools and tech, more progress has been made to switch from the WY sound engine and roll out a DataForge data editing tool. They're also working on some ships. The Retaliator will soon be ready for the hangar, and then they'll be going into Idris and Javelin to get them ready to go, which means they're moving quite along quick enough to go into the multiplayer ships.
They say anything about the Avenger?
No. Oh, no. Let's see, where was I? I don't take notes. I just kind of breeze through this. The arc. Last month they began working on 3 lateral to add facial animations to characters, new scan base male head, and refining the updated base male body. Where are the girls? Why aren't they working on girls?
Move
All
on,
right.
Arleeya.
Yeah, I know. It's just terrible. A male-run dominated society, and they give up on the girls. Gee whiz.
You see,
All right.
all his characters are always female. That's for people that don't know. That's why he's stuck on this.
Yeah. Well, we need to have strong girl characters. All right. Let's see. On the environmental art, they've been continuing the gray box of the Shubin interstellar interior building, and the shape language for Shubin's interstellar has been defined so the players will be able to distinguish its architectural style from other corporations within the Star Citizen universe. I think that's the amazing thing. What they're doing is if you go to Earth, you go to Terra, you go to all these other worlds, you're going to see when you go there, you know that you're at that place because of its style. Did you work on behavior, Spin, or?
Negative. I did the first 2. I left the second 2 for you.
Okay.
I kind of like how the bearded one says he doesn't like the buying missiles and guns in the shop there. I think it's just convenient right now because you can do a small upgrade for money that you can't use anyways in the game yet.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have hundreds of thousands of credits in the thing that we have nothing to spend it on, so just blow it on whatever the gun is.
Well, there's a limit on the amount of credits that you could actually store.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 150,000 or something.
But there's no limit how much you can spend yet.
Yeah.
So
Let's see. Behavior, they're working on building the planet side locations, and some of the shops are now partially functional. Through the Moby Glass, you'll be able to access your ship's inventory 2 ways. A catalog view allows you to browse the entire ship's inventory, and in augmented reality mode, you can browse the products directly in the shop. Both modes have their perks. Moby Glass is going to be really important in this game. The UI, December was they backed all the studios were working on the Arena Commander 1.0, so now they're going to be mostly freed up to do what they need to do to get going again. They made steady progress on the MobiGlass Easy Shop app, which I just mentioned, visual benchmark for future Mobi apps. It's looking pretty sweet, they say. And that takes Ilphonic, I think, is yours. I'll just head over to Turbulent. And the new website, which everyone can see now that they put up at the release of Arena Commander. There's still a few little bugs that they need to work out, but they're going to get the lobby system and everything will be functioning within that. And then towards the middle of the year, hopefully, we'll be able to see more connectivity along the way with the leaderboards and what we're doing. And that's pretty much it. There's more, but we're going to
I'm
run
pretty
out of
happy
time.
with the friends list working. It was pretty cool to jump
Yes.
into my
Yeah,
friends
that
group.
is that was
The
a major
maximum-
improvement to getting in to games and sessions playing with each other was the friends list being functional.
They have a 248 person limit. There's one pilot that managed to max it out. So hopefully they'll increase that.
So on the Ilphonic side, probably the big thing they talked about, we mentioned earlier, which is unifying the HUD between FPS and the ships. They continue to work on zero gravity, weapons polish, stuff like that. But probably the big piece of information they had there was the mocap shoot with new animations, including. Sorry, I was going to say including everything FPS, but that just reminded me of the guy who was named in everything FPS who used to do all those videos. But they're blocking out. They've got 2 levels done, I think, and they're looking at polishing those and getting ready for the FPS or the initial FPS release. So that's the big news there is they're starting to look at. They actually say blocking out the first few levels in the FPS module release. 2 levels will be completed early January, and then the artists are going to go at them to make them look great. And they're putting together documentation on the weapons attachments, so modifying the weapons, which we were talking about earlier, including stuff like a grappling hook. Awesome. Zero G grappling hook, pull yourself around inside a star station, a space station, and you need to go around a blockade or something like that. The fact that they're even thinking about these things takes them to a level of a full FPS game, not just part of a larger game.
Yeah.
I like
Very
to
cool.
use the grappling hook as a point blank weapon. Be awesome.
I have to admit, when I first heard grappling hook, I was reminded of that game Mortal Kombat where that one character
Get
shoots
over
up the
here.
shades. Exactly. Get over here.
It's awesome.
Okay, I think we've covered enough there in the monthly report. There's a Moon
I
Collider
agree.
section still, but they're doing great work on AI.
Lumabox has a question in chat. It says, any indication how we will be able to access larger ships in the hangar module, like, for example, the Starfarer?
Arleeya,
Well-
spin.
The Starfarer is 90 meters long. And if you look at the constellation, I happen to have a constellation. It basically has, I would think, about 3 meters from, if it's in the central area, 3 meters from the front door to 3 meters to where the little control area is. So it just fits.
I'm
We talked
confused.
about it a
So
couple
you can access those in the hangar now. That's what you're saying.
No, not now. When they get the multi up, give them 3 to 5 months.
Yeah,
I
that's the
didn't see
2.0.
anything. We talked about it last show or the show before, where there was a comment saying that the larger ships would be able to be accessed through the asteroid hangar, not necessarily through all the hangars. And there was a sort of an outcry about that, and I don't remember what the final result was. But the initial indication from SIG was that larger ships would be available in the asteroid hangar.
Well, I could see. Well, the largest 2 ships are the 890 and the Carrack. Those are the same size, and they border on capital ships, literally. So I know the Corvette, the Idris, and the Javelin, which are the 3 capital ships, are not hangar capable. Are you Are they saying now that you can put an Idris in the asteroid hangar?
Well, I don't. They didn't say that
Or
exactly,
you can
but they said
access
you
it
can
from the
access it,
asteroid. Yeah, that's, I mean,
which to me meant, you get in the elevator and you go through a gangway of some sort that
Okay.
takes you out to your ship, but that was never confirmed, and I'd have to dig into it more before I swore to it. But
Mhm.
that was the
yeah.
initial statement, and I'm not sure where they ended up.
I would hope that the Starfarer, which is 90 meters long, fits in a hangar. I mean, you don't want that thing left outside.
It'll
Somebody will
get
strip
dirty.
it.
It'll get dust
Yeah.
on it. Get space dust all over it, and then you'd have to, how do you wash that off?
Well, you get grass stains if you crash it.
Yeah,
Yes,
asteroid
that's the
stains.
worst thing you have to worry about is grass stains. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Well, you can't ever have too much fuel unless you're on fire.
and then you have too much.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Floridon is right. I think it's going to be a shuttle to the ship too, because I don't think
Yeah.
tubes would work. Just to the size of the ships that we would be
I
connecting to
mean,
would have
if
to be
you
shuttle.
could pull if you had like a shaved spot on the asteroid hangar, you could pull a ship right up to the outside of the asteroid.
But here's the thing. You have an asteroid hangar. You're hiding. And now you have to park this big banner out there, say pointing, shoot here. I mean, no.
Not all asteroids hangars are going to be for pirates.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're not a pirate, and they come over and they go, "Hey, let's shoot this guy. He's in his hangar." Yeah,
Yeah, but early days still. We haven't even seen
Yeah.
these things, much less where we're going to park them.
Right.
And because they're so good about listening to our feedback, I'm sure that whatever they come up with initially is going to be cool, and then we're going to make it better.
yeah. I still think we need to have a lower level where the ships go, and then another like roof closes up over it, so you have like a
Like an
tier
aircraft
system.
carrier,
Yeah.
like a capital ship.
No, just a big elevator
Okay.
that goes up and down.
A big
Well, guys,
elevator.
we're at our hour. What do you think?
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we
I think
covered everything for
We
this
got
year.
one announcement. For those in grievance, they're on the 23rd, Friday the 23rd. Is it?
Yes, Friday 23rd, 8 p.m. CST. Is it 8 or 7?
Yeah.
One of those two.
They will be having a
State of the Grievance Address,
State
which
of
will
Grievance.
be the monthly council member wrapped into the talk by Steelheart for the year on what's going on with grievance and what we're going to be into for the next year.
And
Do
then
not miss that.
right after that, we can tune into the PAX South address by Chris Roberts.
Yes. And then Saturday, the 24th, we will be back here with the Star Citizen Report. And we look forward to seeing all of you once again. Please be safe and good flying.
Good night, folks.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys. Have a
Talking
great
to you
night.
again. Good seeing you.